Pull up a chair, my friends. My name is Grin, and today we are having a classic fireside chat and talking about my predictions for the hard mode raid, which comes out in less than a week on Tuesday the 18th. So guys, without further ado, let's jump straight into it and talk about these predictions. Now, we're going to start off with the entrance exam as usual. Now, I believe in the past they have not really modified the beginning very much. The only thing they've done is made slight variations to make it more difficult and less pleasant for you to do. Now, I have four main things I want to outline here. The first being a shorter timer when carrying and running the charges or the energy bursts, whatever you want to call them. This will just make it harder as a whole to get to your engine in time. You might have to discharge them at different locations just to make sure you don't die. Again, they probably won't change it as much as I think, but I'm just taking every precaution here and assuming the worst possible thing. On top of that, I think you're going to have to pick up more charges from instead of 4, you're going to have to pick up either 5 or 6 just to, again, make it less fun for you, to make it harder. And then, that being said, since you have to pick those up, I think they're going to be spawned more around the map and in more different locations. Like, they can be behind the areas in which we haven't seen them spawn before. Normally, they're all kind of centrally located. They're going to be, I believe they're going to be completely randomized in a place where you would not think to look, so you can pick those up from there. Now, on top of that, another one would be more damage from Siva charges to drop his shield and do damage to him on top of a shorter damage phase, so you have to actually run it more often and you can't drop his shield as quickly as possible and You'll just have to hit like almost every single Siva charge in order to drop his shield initially, again making it harder and less pleasant. And then obviously larger amount and more aggressive and more difficult adds. This will just make it, again, unpleasant, harder, because it's hard mode. And that's pretty much it for the first part. Now onto the jumping puzzles. I believe there's not going to be any change with that. It'll be the same thing, maybe a couple more ads, something like that, but it won't be very much change on those. Now, actually, on to Vosik himself. There's a lot of changes I think they could do to make this one harder. This is one of the more easy boss fights within the game right now, and I have a ton of points I'd like to make about this one being more difficult and possibly being one of the hardest portions of the raid next to Axis himself. Now, the number one thing that I think is going to change about this is there's going to be more cycles, and the clusters that have to be thrown at him are you're going to have to do more cycles of throwing, that is. Normally, if you hit them all, it's 3 cycles, and that's quick. Maybe they'll bump that up to 5, maybe they'll change it just once, but there's going to be a change there no matter what. Another next thing that's going to really make this fight difficult is, since, if you guys have noticed, when you're within that room, there are tons of monitor locations, and I think that each and every one of those will have a chance to spawn the symbol in which you have to shoot, therefore making it harder for everybody to target one. You're going to have one side that needs to target that monitor, shoot it down. It's going to be stronger than before. You won't be able to take it down quite as fast, and that is going to make that fight, just that aspect is going to make it a lot more difficult. There's more, just wait, I'm not quite done yet. This is going to get worse and worse. A shorter damage phase timer, which normally is implemented. They've done this with every single raid. They've just made that period where his shield is down shorter. They might not change that and be nice to us, but I think they will. And then a more randomized clean room selection. Now, what I mean by this is, generally right now, when you do that fight and you actually end up finishing his damage phase, there's 2 clean rooms that are always going to be open. You have to go to one or the other. Now, I think they're going to limit that to 1, so you have to locate that single clean room and get to that as fast as possible, or else it would be a wipe. Now, I also think they might turn the clean room timer down and make it, instead of, I think it's 10 seconds right now, I think they'll pump it down to maybe 7. Just a small difference, so you have to get to that clean room right away, and there will not be any exceptions for the players who have not found it and not located it. It'll force the people in your group, in your raid team, to communicate a lot more, overall making it more difficult. And then obviously on top of that, more ads, harder ads, more aggressive ads, whatever you want to say. Now on to the siege engine. I totally skipped that jumping puzzle because there will not be any change to that. They might move some stuff around, but I doubt it. They've never changed the jumping puzzle. On to the siege engine. Now, I think the first phase of this will stay exactly the same, except for stronger panels on the engine itself. Take more shots, you're going to have to focus it more and kill the ads at the same time. You'll need that tether, you'll need that Stormcaller, whoever's doing ad control. You just got to get those out of the way and move straight onto that engine. You got to work on that, get that health down all the way so you can access it and actually move on to the second phase of it. Now, onto the second phase, I believe there's going to be a larger mine spawn. There's mines currently, and they're very annoying, so I think whatever Bungie can do to get under your skin more with that, they're going to add. Another thing that I kind of believe that they may change, they might change it, I think this would make it overall way more difficult, is more parts to run. Normally there's 3 right now. There's the drivetrain, the engine itself, and then the warhead. I think they're going to move that up, because 3 right now is pretty easy if you're good and coordinated, but if they change it to like 4 or something, the coordination just gets escalated. It makes it harder as a whole, and in turn actually more fun, honestly. That's where you're going to have on your specific boots, whatever you need to get that extra agility bonus so you can run that through there and finish up that steps. Now, additionally, on top of all this, I'm saying on top of it a lot, I apologize for that, but I'm just rambling on. This is a list I've created, and it's long because they've always really differentiated the regular mode from the hard mode so much. So, additionally, when actually fighting the boss himself, located on top of the siege engine, to get that door to open to be able to access the top story of the siege engine, I think there's going to be either an additional boss or a harder boss. Granted, the boss will be harder no matter what, but I think that mini boss, ultra, major, whatever you want to call it, there might be a second one in a different location on top of the engine, or it will be, instead of a major, an ultra, making the entire thing harder itself. Now, moving on to the number one thing that I'm going to get questions on is Axis. Axis is without a doubt going to be the hardest part of this. It is already so difficult right now. If you do not have a coordinated team, it's not pleasant if nobody knows what they're doing. And I think they're going to just get under your skin with that. They're going to make it more difficult. And here we go. Now we're going to start with the first phase, because I believe they're going to change it both. Obviously they will, but right away with the first phase, there's going to be more charges on each rotation. Instead of doing the 2, 3, 5, it's probably going to be like 3, 5, 7. You're going to have to hit every single one of them. There is no forgiveness for a miss. You have to get in there. You have to hit them. You have to be communicating. The SIVA charges themselves will probably expire faster, and you won't have as long to throw them. I think they're going to do that with every cluster within the raid. That would just make sense as a whole, because you have so much time to pick those up and throw them right now. And then another thing, which I know they will do, is a constant ad spawn. There will always be ad spawning. You'll never be able to take them all out and have that nice little short period of no ads. You'll have to completely focus on ad control and then do that next step extremely fast. The step in which I'm talking about is the picking up of the Scorch Cannon, shooting the Servitor 1, 2, or 3, however many you have, relative to your Scorch Cannon / Void / Arc Cannon. And that's going to do that for the first phase. There can be so many different things. These are just what I've thought of. Now, moving on to the second phase, there's going to be more bombs that are required to drop a shield. Instead of 3, there might be 6. Something just to make it difficult. It just makes that coordination aspect so much harder when you have to communicate twice instead of once. Say you have an arc servitor on the left side and you have to shoot that one, and then you have to go to the other side of the map and shoot that one. You got to throw all those charges, and then you got to do the damage phase, and he's probably going to teleport faster, and then there's also going to be constant ad spawn within that one, stronger captains to take down. Now, on top of all that, you might be thinking, oh, well, that's still easy. You can still one-shot the servitors. I think that's wrong. I believe they're going to have to remove that one-shot ability on servitors, so you have to waste that second shot and hit him twice. They might not do that again and be nice to us, but I have no idea there. Now, the main conclusion I've made on Axis here is he's an extremely hard boss as is, and Bungie has everything in their power to change him however they want. They changed Oryx a lot of times. They made the Light Eater Ogres spawn, so they could do something similar to that on this one. So basically what I'm saying at this point is, from this being said, all that I know is that I cannot tell you exactly what to expect on Axis, and that's going to be my overall rundown of that final boss. So guys, I hope you did find this little fireside chat interesting. I sure enjoyed going through and try to brainstorm some of the things they might change. If you did enjoy the video, please be sure to share it with your friends. They might have some creative input. And guys, by all means, if you think you have an idea, or if you have an idea, excuse me, about what they might change in the raid, drop in the comments. I'd be happy to respond, have a conversation with you guys about these thoughts and stuff. And guys, let's get hyped. Hard mode, only a few days away, very close. And we will see you in the next one, guys. Thank you all for watching.